The Smiler at Alton Towers holds the world record for the most inversions of any roller coaster. This creative Gerstlauer creation takes guests upside down a whopping 14 times. Just how good does that make the ride though? Find out in this review. In 1984, Alton Towers added an indoor Schwarzkopf Jetstar 2 known as the Black Hole. This coaster closed before the 2005 season, and the building sat vacant for 7 years. Flash forward to 2011. The park filed plans to build a new coaster nicknamed Secret Weapon 7. In early 2012, the Black Hole's building was torn down, and the site was prepped for a large new addition. Around the same time, the park filed a noise report with the town, suggesting it would be a Gerstlauer roller coaster. This was not too surprising considering Merlin had a good relationship with this German manufacturer. They recently had built Saw the Ride at Thorpe Park. For the rest of the season, Alton Towers ran a subliminal marketing campaign. They added Smile logos to the park, the website, and various UK locations. This smile would ultimately become the ride's logo, and it is plastered in all sorts of apparel, which can be purchased in the gift shop you're forced to exit after riding. In early 2013, the park revealed this new coaster would be named the Smiler. It would be a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster with 14 inversions, shattering the inversion record. The previous record for the most inversions on any coaster was 10, which was shared by Colossus at the UK's very own Thorpe Park, and the 10 inversion roller coaster at China's Chimelong Paradise. This coaster is visually stunning, which should be no surprise given John Wardley's involvement. This legendary designer believed rides should be entertaining for both riders and non-riders. Smiler was part of X Sector, which has a dark government theme. Merlin and Alton Towers are no strangers to morbid themes, but Smiler may be their most demented. The Ministry of Joy wants everyone to be a subservient, smiling simpleton. To achieve this, they will use all means necessary, including brainwashing and physical torture. The Smiler is their ultimate tool. In the center of the ride is the Marmalizer. This is a colossal mechanical menace that looks like the spider at the end of Wild Wild West. It has video screens plastered on the side and 5 devices extending outward: the inoculator, the tickler, the flasher, the giggler, and the hypnotizer. These interact with the train. Some create terrifying near misses with physical movement. Others spray mist or fog at riders. And this device is fitting. Riders and onlookers will be smiling with delight. It is a striking feature. The outdoor portion of the queue is routed directly through the structure, offering amazing views. The indoor portion reverts to the dark theme. There are hypnotic video screens. Then the load platform is reminiscent of a mental institution, complete with bright lights that trigger whenever a train dispatches. As icing on the cake, the ride features an incredible soundtrack. This is played all throughout the queue in the immediate area. It perfectly captures this ride's sinister feel, yet it is zany and upbeat. You have these chilling laughs that form a melody, and it is played over and over and over. Then the coaster itself is mesmerizing as well. The Smiler is built on a compact plot of land, yet it features an impressive 3,839 feet, or 1,170 meters of track. To achieve this, Alton Towers dug down. If you are unfamiliar with this park, they have strict rules imposed by the town. They most notably cannot build above the tree line, so they had to place the ride in a pit to achieve the desired speed and forces. Then the ride is 2 different halves spliced together. The use of 2 lift hills allows the coaster to maintain its momentum through all the inversions. It just requires an intermission in between, which a lot of guests might want anyway to recover from the inversion blitz. It is nearly impossible to tell where the train will go next. The black track and supports all blend together. It is just one twisted inversion after another, and to make it even better, this essentially is a dueling coaster. If the crews dispatch the trains at interval, the two trains crest the lift hill at the exact same time, so they flip over and under each other the whole way through. This once again is a visual treat for everybody, both on and off ride. As you may have surmised, this coaster runs multiple trains. I believe it has 5 trains in total, but it regularly operates with 4 of them. Each train seats up to 16 riders, as there are 4 rows of 4. Then to achieve that dueling effect, the coaster has speedy operations. There are a few things contributing to this. 1. Nothing can be stored on the load platform. This means guests can go directly to their seats. Towards the end of the queue, there's a complimentary baggage hold for any bags or loose articles. 2. The restraints are simple. They are just over-the-shoulder harnesses with no secondary restraints, so they are easy to secure and check. 3. The short trains allow staff members to quickly check the entire train. They don't have to walk too far. Despite the solid capacity, Smiler routinely has the longest wait at Alton Towers. It is one of the park's most popular attractions. The wait regularly hovers around the hour mark, and it can hit the 2-hour mark on particularly busy days. There are a few ways to avoid the worst waits. The best way is to utilize the single rider line. From my experience, it is usually no more than 5 to 10 minutes. The busiest I have ever seen it was 30 minutes, which was on a day when the main queue was posted at 120 minutes. So it still saved a massive amount of time. Another method is to purchase a fast-track skip-the-line pass. This gives you expedited boarding, but it is pricey. You can also head here first, but there is an important caveat to that. You need to be one of the first people in the park for this strategy to work. Alton Towers opens its front gates 1 hour before the posted opening time. While most parks hold you in the front area of the park for a rope drop, Alton Towers allows you to walk throughout the entire park, and most people will choose to queue up for an attraction, which is why Smiler will already have a sizable queue when the park officially opens. Alternatively, you can hop in line for Smiler at the end of the day. As long as you're in the queue before the official closing time, you will be allowed to ride, so it essentially serves as bonus time. There's also a good chance it'll be faster between there being less people in line and the lack of new fast-track people being admitted. Now unfortunately, downtime was a major issue in my most recent trip to Alton Towers. It plagued all the major attractions, especially Smiler. It operated for just 5 hours total in a 2-day span, or it was open roughly 30% of the time. I think I was just unlucky. Usually, you can count on it being operational on any given day, unless it is windy. That is the one thing that consistently closes this ride. The ride has a wind sensor atop the lift. If it detects a gust of 30 to 35 miles per hour, the ride will close. So if you see the ground winds around the 20 mile per hour mark, do not be surprised if Smiler ends up closing. And this is for cause. The ride has had a history of valleying, specifically in the Batwing towards the end of the first half. It has happened several times with empty trains, which are lighter and carry less momentum. This is why the ride often tests with loaded water dummies. And unfortunately, this valleying issue also contributed to an awful collision in 2015. To handle increased crowds, the park added an extra train to the Smiler. The train was cycled empty. On its final test, it was particularly gusty, and it caused the train to stall in the Batwing. The train then rocked to a full stop. Meanwhile, there was a loaded train behind it that was automatically stopped on Lift 1. The computer system functioned as intended. Realizing the next block was not yet clear, maintenance was called. They were unaware an extra train was added and that it had stalled on the course, so they manually overrode the lift stop, sending the loaded train through the circuit. This caused the two trains to collide. While there were no deaths, Multiple riders suffered serious injuries. This accident could have been easily prevented. In fact, the computer system did its best to try and prevent it. The Smiler was closed for the rest of the season, and the park was fined. The ride reopened for the 2016 season, and it has operated safely ever since. But this accident has had lasting impacts for Alton Towers. It hurt their reputation with the public, leading to a 25% drop in visitors in the upcoming years. Because of this, the park closed multiple rides, and they significantly slashed their hours. The park routinely closed as early as 4 p.m. in the years following the accident. Once you reach the end of the queue, there is a grouper who will strictly assign seats. They fill the train front to back. There is a slight chance they'll honor a request for the back row if it is unoccupied, but it is not guaranteed, and they will never let you wait an extra train for a row that is already occupied. The forces are fairly even across the train. Some elements are slightly better up front, some are slightly better in back. But I do have a slight overall preference for the front row. Not only is that unobstructed view cool with such a convoluted layout, but it also is the smoothest row. I have seen some people call this ride rough. I would not go that far, but there are some shakes coming out of the inversions in the rows further back. This is notable because this coaster has over-the-shoulder restraints. There are some soft pads by your ears, but it still is not fun to bash into them. I typically lean forward slightly if I'm in the back 2 rows to lessen the chances I hit my head. I really wish this coaster had lap bars like so many other Gerstlauer Infinity coasters. That would not only make the experience smoother, but it would also enhance the forces on the elements. Once you're secured, bright lights flash and an ominous video recording orders you to join us. The train then rolls forward into a dark tunnel. There's a twisting drop to the left. While not overly large, it has some good zip in the back half of the train. Then, there's a disorienting barrel roll in near total darkness. You have no sense of direction in there, and it offers some sweet hang time as well. You then hit a brake run and head outdoors. You pause momentarily, and then you navigate lift hill number 1. And this one is an oddity for the model. It is not a vertical lift. It is the only lift hill like it on any Gerstlauer Infinity coaster worldwide. Smiler is a max height of 98 feet or 30 meters, and I believe that height is achieved atop both lifts. At the top, you get a beautiful view overlooking the towers and the park's lake. Then, the madness commences. There's a swooping drop right. This offers a little pop of airtime and back. Then the train is pulled downwards. This valley offers decent positive Gs, which is a recurring theme with this ride. You'll get respectable to good Gs in every single pullout. This drop elegantly transitions into a diving corkscrew. This is a super snappy maneuver. You are rapidly rotated through the roll in front. Those in back get great whip in the second half of it, as the train is pulled downwards. Next are back-to-back dive loops. The front is thrown to both of them, and then everyone gets high positive Gs in the pullout. The second also adds in great laterals in the rapid 180-degree rotation. Then comes a camelback. This is a brilliant element for a few reasons. 1. It offers decent ejector airtime. 2. It is the perfect spot to break up the inversions and offer some variety. 3. There are some incredible near misses with the marmalizer overhead. This hill does have a trim on it that can take away a little speed, but the forces are still strong, so it doesn't really bother me. This leads to the infamous Batwing. The entry has great positive Gs, particularly in the front. I start to see some gray here. Then the second flip is taken more slowly, so it offers some hang time. Due to the speed loss, this is the spot in the ride where it can valley. I get why this can be problematic on windy days. Immediately afterwards, there's a faintly floaty corkscrew. This is the 7th inversion, ending the first half. You then hit the brakes and the nearby signs remind you that you're only halfway through. The train then parks at the base of the second lift. After a few seconds, you head up a vertical lift, which is much more typical of this model. Per usual, this feels funky and weird views if you look out to the side. It feels strange not having a beyond vertical drop on the other side. Gerstlauer is well known for these, and they usually follow a vertical lift. I think it was a missed opportunity not to add one on the Smiler. It would have had another signature element to complement the inversions. Instead, the second half begins much like the first. There's a swooping drop, this time to the left, but oddly does not have much oomph. The first is considerably punchier. Then as before, it leads to a diving corkscrew. This feels exactly like the first, which is a good thing. It is equally as snappy. I love how this throws you towards the ground. Next is a sea serpent. The entry is another spot with strong positive Gs. Then the two flips are fluid. This leads directly into another camelback. This one once again has some great head choppers with the marmalizer. Then I think the airtime is even better this time around. It is good sustained ejector here. Then comes a cobra roll that is beautifully intertwined with the prior batwing. This is a visual treat when the two trains are perfectly dueling. Then the element also has nice force. You get solid Gs in the entry in front. Then everyone is yanked down the second flip, but this part is a very noticeable shake. It is the roughest part of the ride in my opinion. The final two inversions are my favorites on the ride, the double barrel roll. The first is super whippy, offering good laterals and a little float. The second is more stretched out, so it offers great hang time in addition to some laterals. By this point, Smiler has bled off a lot of speed, so there's just a meek leftward turn into the brakes. This ends the experience, and per the park, you have now gotten corrected. Yes, that is actually one of this ride's taglines. With the two lift hills and the brake runs, the whole experience takes roughly 3 minutes. But even looking at the prime ride time, there is 1 minute and 15 seconds of action. That is a long duration for an intense multi-looper like this, so I understand the pause so people have time to recover and avoid getting too nauseous. The ride does feel like two distinctly different halves because of how they're broken up, but the pacing in each half is excellent. You charge from one element to the next with no delay, and it helps the transitions hit you with respectable to good positive Gs. Then if you're fortunate, you will also have the dueling element. Seeing another train flip and twirl around you is quite the sight. It adds a little extra spice to an already dynamic and visually interesting coaster. And as a bonus, the experience does not quite end once you return to the station. The exit feels like a pseudo scare maze. It is a long, dark, and narrow hallway. You have some projections on the walls, paired with a chilling laughter from the ride's soundtrack. It is quite ominous. Then when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, it is the aforementioned gift shop. So what would I rate the Smiler? I would give this coaster a 9 out of 10. This is an excellent coaster. It is not just a record breaker, it is an exciting experience. I love the bizarre theme and how the park goes all out with it during the pre-boarding and ride experience. Then the coaster is centered around 14 enjoyable inversions that offer a mix of positive Gs, hang time, and laterals. These are super disorienting due to the rapid-fire pacing. And then there are two great airtime hills mixed in for variety. I do wish this coaster had a better initial drop, and I wish it tracked a little better and had lap bars like the other Infinity coasters. But as is, it is still plenty tolerable for me. This is easily one of the best roller coasters in the United Kingdom, and one of the best rides Gerstlauer has ever made. It is a surreal and unique coaster well worth trying. Those are my thoughts on the Smiler at Alton Towers. What are your thoughts on this crazy multi-looper? Are you a fan? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing. Because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.